My name is Sandy Jacobson. I'm 29 years old, and 3 days ago I watched the future I'd spent 4 years building collapse in front of me, quietly, cruelly, and in a way I never could have imagined, even in my worst nightmares. People always say heartbreak is loud, dramatic, explosive. Mine wasn't. Mine unraveled silently, under thousands of paper lanterns that were supposed to light the beginning of my forever. Instead, they lit the truth. I'm a project coordinator for a mid-sized tech company downtown. I make good money, live in a small but cozy condo, drive a pragmatic used sedan I maintain. Better than most men in their 30s maintain their egos. My life has always been stable, predictable, intentional, until Noah Pierce. He came into my world 4 years ago like a spark, warm, charming, ambitious, the kind of man who laughed with his whole chest and made strangers feel like old friends. We met through mutual friends at a weekend game night. He was competitive in a goofy way, terrible at charades, and he kept glancing at me like I was the secret punchline he hadn't figured out yet. I thought he was the one. For most of our relationship, he felt like home. Our routines were soft and steady. Wednesday night cooking experiments, Sunday farmers markets, spontaneous drives to nowhere just to hear him talk about the creative marketing projects he loved. When we'd pass jewelry stores, he'd slow down. When wedding announcements popped up online, he'd nudge me. When we watched proposal videos, he'd say, "One day, one day." And I believed him. So 6 months ago, I decided I wasn't waiting anymore. I was going to propose. Not casually, not clumsily, not with some restaurant dessert and a shaky speech, but with something magical, something unforgettable, something that would tell Noah, without a single doubt, that I saw a lifetime with him. And he loved the Summer Lights Festival. Loved it so much that last year he called it the closest thing to magic adults get. So I knew instantly, that's where I'd propose. I started planning in March. I called the organizers, explained my idea, and by some miracle they agreed to help. Over weeks of coordination, I arranged a private lakeside area, custom lanterns that would rise into the sky spelling "Marry Me," his favorite local band playing our song, a timed lighting sequence synchronized perfectly with the sunset. It cost me $12,000, nearly all my savings. And I didn't hesitate. Noah was worth every dollar. His ring was another journey entirely. A sapphire vintage piece he had once admired while we window shopped. The original had sold, but the jeweler hunted down a near-identical piece from an estate sale on the East Coast. I worked overtime for months, took on every side project I could, ate discount instant ramen until I was tired of my own breathing around it. But I got the ring, the perfect ring, for the person I believed was my perfect person. Only 2 people knew about my plan, the festival organizers and my best friend Ashley. She cried when she saw the ring, hugged me, said Noah was lucky, said she couldn't wait to help guide him to the lakeside spot at the exact moment. I didn't know then that her tears weren't for joy. They were for guilt. The proposal was set for 9 p.m., but I arrived at the festival around 6 o'clock, nervous, restless, incapable of sitting at home pretending to be normal. I wandered around, trying to calm the storm inside my chest. String lights swayed between trees. Food trucks lined the walkways. Music drifted from every direction. People laughed and danced and lived their lives like nothing in their world was falling apart, because mine hadn't yet. At 7:30, I walked toward the lake to check the setup one last time. The lanterns, the positioning, the timing of the band. And that's when everything inside me stilled. Noah was there, wearing the navy shirt I loved on him, hair styled just the way he knew made me weak, smiling, genuinely smiling, in that way that used to be for me. But he wasn't with Ashley. He wasn't even alone. He was standing beside Jenna Morales, his ex-girlfriend from work. The same Jenna he'd been catching up with for coffee over the last couple of months. The same Jenna I'd asked him about. Casually, carefully, trying not to sound jealous. He'd kissed my forehead and said, "You don't need to worry, babe. She's just a coworker." I didn't worry, until I saw them holding hands. Fingers intertwined, not brushing, not accidental, intentional, familiar, intimate. And there was this softness in Noah's expression, this adoration, the kind that made my stomach curl. He ordered her favorite caramel apple without asking. She wiped caramel from his thumb with a smile that belonged in memories, not in front of me. He tucked a piece of her hair behind her ear. She leaned into him. They didn't look like new lovers. They looked like something that had been quietly building for a long, long time. A laugh ripped out of her chest, That kind of laugh that shakes shoulders, bright and unfiltered. A sound I hadn't heard from Noah in months. I stood there, frozen in the crowd, unable to process that the man I was about to propose to, the man I loved, looked at someone else the way I dreamed he'd once look at me at the altar. I didn't walk towards them. I didn't scream. I didn't make a scene. I simply exhaled, like someone had pressed a blade into my chest so slowly my body didn't know whether to bleed or go still. My phone buzzed, the festival coordinator checking in, and I heard myself say, "Let the setup run. If someone else wants to use it, let them. I'm not coming." He hesitated, confused. But I couldn't explain. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I walked back through the festival like a ghost, hand wrapped around the ring box in my pocket until the edges dug into my palm. By the time I reached my car, I couldn't feel my fingers. By the time I reached the motel, I couldn't feel my heart. I sat on the stained bedspread, staring at the velvet box glowing under a buzzing fluorescent light. The ring I bought for Noah didn't look like a promise anymore. It looked like a funeral. I didn't sleep, not really. When exhaustion finally dragged me under, it was long after dawn. When I woke up, my phone was exploding. 37 missed calls, hundreds of notifications, mostly from Noah. But the one message that chilled me was this: "Meet me at Riverstone Coffee at 2 p.m. If you don't show, don't bother coming back to the apartment." My apartment, the condo I owned, where he'd been living rent-free. The audacity would have been funny if my heart weren't still bleeding. I got dressed, grabbed my keys, and headed there. Not because he demanded it, but because I needed answers. And because some part of me still wanted him to say, "It wasn't what you think." I walked into that coffee shop 20 minutes early. By the time Noah arrived, everything I believed about love was about to break again. Noah walked into Riverstone Coffee at exactly 2 p.m., as if this were a job interview and not the aftermath of our relationship being ripped open. The sunlight from the front windows framed him like a stage spotlight. Same navy shirt, same carefully styled hair, same cologne I used to bury my face in after long days. But today his presence hit me like cold air. And then I saw it, on his left hand. A thin, cheap silver festival ring, the kind you win from a booth for $20, glinting like a taunt. Not my ring, not the sapphire I'd worked 6 months to afford, just a cheap trinket. He walked straight to my table and didn't sit, didn't breathe, didn't blink. Instead, he lifted his hand as if presenting a trophy. "I got engaged last night," Noah announced, loud enough that nearby customers turned. "Jenna and we're official now." My heart didn't break this time. It calcified. Jenna, his ex, the woman I watched him hold hands with less than 24 hours ago. I stared at him, stunned. "You're engaged?" He nodded eagerly, pride puffing up his chest. "It was perfect, Sandy. You wouldn't believe it. The lanterns by the lake, the music, the lights, everything just happened. Like it was meant to be." Oh. He didn't know. My stomach twisted as he kept talking, too wrapped up in his own excitement to notice the disbelief draining the color from my face. "Jenna said she'd never seen anything so magical, and honestly," he gave a reverent laugh, "neither have I." Something inside me, the last soft, fragile part, snapped. Slowly, I reached into my bag. Not for my phone, not for tissues, but for the velvet ring box that still felt like an anchor in my hands. I placed it on the table between us. It landed with a soft thud that echoed louder in my heart than the festival fireworks ever could have. Noah frowned. "What's that?" I opened the box. The sapphire glowed beneath the cafe's warm lights. Deep blue, radiant, unmistakably real. Noah's face went from smug triumph to confusion to dread. "I was going to propose last night," I said quietly. "At the Summer Lights Festival, at 9 o'clock, by the lake, with lanterns spelling 'Marry Me,' with your favorite band playing our song." I lifted my eyes to his. The shock on his face cracked into something uglier. Guilt, fear, panic. He swallowed, hard. "Sandy, You what?" My voice was barely a whisper. "You used my proposal, Noah. You stood in the exact spot I planned. You let someone else guide you to a moment I created, a moment I paid for." Whispers spread through the cafe like wildfire. Phones lifted. Eyes widened. Noah lowered himself into the chair, the bravado draining from his posture. "I didn't know," he whispered. "You didn't know because you didn't care enough to see me anymore." His eyes darted around the room, realizing people were watching, recording. He forced a laugh. "This is ridiculous. You're being dramatic." "Am I?" I leaned forward. "Because I saw you holding hands with Jenna the night before, laughing with her, eating with her. touching her like she was your girlfriend, like I never existed. For the first time since I'd known him, Noah didn't have a comeback. He pressed his fist against his mouth like he could shove the truth back inside himself. I continued, voice steady, almost serene. When I canceled the proposal, I told the festival coordinator to let anyone use the setup. I didn't know it would be you, with her. Noah's eyes filled with something. Regret? Shame? Or just fear of public humiliation? Sandy, please, he whispered urgently. Can we talk about this privately? I'm done talking privately, I said. You chose to parade your engagement ring around. You chose to show up like this. His voice cracked. I didn't mean for it to happen like that. But it did. Silence fell between us. Then Noah reached across the table, palm shaking. I made a mistake, a huge one. I got confused. Jenna and we reconnected. There were feelings, but I swear I never wanted to hurt you. Oh, Noah. I closed the ring box. You didn't just hurt me, you humiliated me. You took everything I worked for and turned it into your love story with someone else. He bowed his head. For a moment, he looked like the man I fell in love with. Remorseful, gentle, soft. But then he said the one thing that revealed exactly who he'd become. Can't we just fix this? I let out a soft exhale that wasn't quite a laugh. Fix what? Your engagement? My broken heart? The fact that you stole my proposal and didn't realize it? His jaw tightened in embarrassment. Don't say it like that. How else should I say it? Noah had no answer. I stood. The entire cafe followed my movements like the climax of a drama they couldn't look away from. Noah, I said quietly, congratulations on your engagement. I hope Jenna likes festival rings. They're a perfect symbol. I walked toward the door. Sandy, wait! I stopped, turned. Noah's eyes were red. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. The man I wanted to marry wasn't the man standing in front of me today. And then I walked out. As the cafe doors closed behind me, Noah's voice faded into muffled pleading. But something else echoed louder in my mind, sharp and unmistakable. Someone told him where to stand. Someone who knew the timing, the spot, the band, every detail. Someone who had cried when seeing the ring. Someone who promised to guide him there. Someone I trusted. Ashley. I pulled out my phone and dialed. She answered on the second ring. Sandy, are you okay? I've been trying to reach Parkview Cafe, I said, cutting her off. 20 minutes, and don't lie to me again. Silence. Then, I'll be there. Parkview Cafe was nearly empty when I arrived. I chose a table by the window, the sunlight harsh and unforgiving, the kind of light that exposes everything, even things you never wanted to see. I sat with my hands clasped, the ring box heavy in my bag like a warning I kept ignoring. Ashley walked in exactly on time. Her usual bright energy was gone. Her makeup was smudged, eyes red, posture small, like a child caught doing something unforgivable. She spotted me and froze. Then she forced herself to walk over and sit. Sandy, her voice trembled. I'm so sorry. How long? I asked. Her breath hitched. Please. How long? She swallowed. Hard. And when she finally spoke, it was barely a whisper. 2 months. A cold, hollow ache spread through my ribs. 2 months, meaning you watched Noah cheat on me for 8 weeks and said nothing. I tried to tell her, Ashley choked out, tears spilling over. I told Jenna she needed to stop. I begged Noah to choose. I didn't know how to tell you without hurting you. You didn't want to hurt me? My laugh came out sharp. Ashley, do you have any idea what yesterday did to me? What this morning did to me? She wiped at her face with shaking hands. Sandy, I swear I didn't want it to go this far. I thought... You thought what? I leaned in. That they deserve my proposal? That they deserve my moment? That they deserve 6 months of planning and $12,000 of my savings? No, she cried. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I demanded. Because Noah just told me the entire setup felt like fate, like destiny, like magic. And you know what? He was right, because you guided him there. Ashley's mouth fell open in a pained gasp. I didn't guide him, I swear. He asked me where the lanterns were going to be, and You just gave him everything, I said softly. Every secret, every detail, everything I trusted you with. Her chin crumpled as she cried. They seemed so happy, Sandy. They looked in love. And Noah was talking about committing, about being ready, and I thought, You thought I wasn't good enough for him, I whispered. Ashley's silence was the only confirmation I needed. I felt something inside me decay, the kind of hurt that doesn't scream, but sinks deeper, numbing everything it touches. You stood beside me as I rehearsed my proposal. You held my hand when I practiced what to say. You cried when you saw the ring. I did cry, she said desperately, because I knew I was hurting you and I didn't know how to stop it. No, Ashley, I said quietly. You cried because guilt eats people alive. She covered her face. Sandy, I messed up so badly. I was torn between two people I loved, and I made the worst choices. Please, please don't hate me. I stared at her, my once best friend, and all I saw was someone who chose excitement over loyalty, someone who thought betrayal was kindness if done gently. Hate you? I said slowly. Ashley, I don't have to hate you. You've already destroyed everything between us. She sobbed harder. Please! I stood, leaving bills for my untouched drink. This friendship is over, I said. Don't call me again. She reached for my wrist, but I pulled away before she touched me. Her hand hovered in the air, trembling. Sandy, I'm sorry. No, I corrected, voice cold and steady. You're sorry you got caught. I walked out of the cafe without looking back. It took less than 3 days for betrayal to find me again. Morton's Market, the least dramatic place on earth, somehow became the setting of the next explosion in my unraveling life. I just needed groceries, a bag of frozen meals, a carton of eggs, something to make me feel like a functioning human again. I was halfway down the coffee aisle when I heard it. Noah's laugh. I froze. Then I turned the corner. There they were. Noah, Jenna, Ashley. Together, smiling, laughing, carefree. Jenna wore my Christmas sweater. Ashley carried a shopping basket full of champagne. Noah's arm was wrapped around Jenna's waist. And on Jenna's left hand, that ridiculous, cheap festival ring sparkled under the grocery store lights. The ring that was supposed to be mine. The ring she'd accepted using my proposal. I took a step back, but Noah saw me, and he smirked. Actually smirked. Hey, Sandy, he called out, waving. Never got to thank you for the proposal setup. Seriously, incredible job. Couldn't have done it without you. Jenna giggled and leaned into him. Ashley paled instantly, her eyes begging me not to explode. But something in me, the last piece still holding on, snapped entirely. Noah continued, oblivious. That lakeside spot? Perfect lighting, perfect timing. Ashley told me you worked for months planning every detail. He laughed. Guess it's good someone used it, right? I didn't remember deciding to move. One moment I was standing by my cart. The next, my fist connected with Noah's jaw. He stumbled into a display of coffee cans, sending dozens crashing onto the floor. Shoppers gasped. Someone screamed. My knuckles throbbed, but the pain felt righteous. You smug piece of garbage, I said, voice shaking with fury. You think this is funny? Stealing my moment? Stealing my future? Jenna's face twisted in horror. Oh my God, Noah! Stop it, Noah shouted, clutching his jaw. What is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I laughed. An unhinged, wounded sound. You stole my proposal. You destroyed our relationship. You humiliated me in public, and now you're smiling? Security started moving toward us, but I barely noticed. I stepped closer, my voice dropping into something cold enough to frost glass. You know what, Noah? You deserve each other. The cheater, the thief, and... I shifted my glare to Ashley, the traitor. Ashley burst into tears. Noah pointed at me. You need to leave. Oh, trust me, I said. I can't get away from you fast enough. Security reached us. I straightened, smoothed my jacket, and breathed. Then I said the line that would replay in thousands of viral clips later that night. Enjoy your stolen proposal. It's the only original thing you'll ever have in your relationship. I turned and walked toward the exit as shoppers stared, phones raised, judgment thick in the air. Behind me, I heard Noah hiss my name. But I didn't slow down. Once outside, my hands started shaking. From the punch, from the truth, from everything. And as I reached my car, one thought burned hotter than the pain in my knuckles. This wasn't over. Not yet. Steve dragged me to the Heritage Day Festival the following weekend. The way someone drags a wounded animal out of hiding because sunlight might help. I didn't want to go. I didn't want crowds, noise, music, or reminders of anything resembling celebration. But staying in my condo, still echoing with Noah's old presence, still haunted by Ashley's laughter from game nights, still sharp with the memory of everything I'd lost, was worse. So I went. Downtown was packed. Vendors lined the streets, families wandered with cotton candy, a local band played on the main stage, normal people living normal lives. I tried to blend into the crowd, tried to breathe like someone whose heart hadn't been smashed under lantern-lit skies. Then I heard it. That laugh. Light, familiar, cruel in its casualness. Noah. He stood near the main stage, arm around Jenna, the festival ring flashing under the sun. Ashley hovered beside them, smiling too brightly, pretending she wasn't the architect of my humiliation. A group of mutual friends surrounded them, listening as Jenna animatedly retold the magical proposal story. My story. The one I created. The one Noah stole. People around them gasped and swooned. Cameras popped. Someone asked if they could recreate the pose for a picture. I felt something inside me crack in a way that didn't hurt anymore, just sharpened. Steve saw my face. Sandy, maybe we should go. You don't need this. He was right, but I wasn't leaving. Not this time. On the stage, the event host had just finished announcing the evening schedule. He placed the microphone on the stand and stepped away. And before I even realized what my body was doing, I walked up the stairs. I grabbed the microphone, and I turned to face the entire festival. The crowd quieted instantly. Steve whispered my name somewhere behind me, but it was too late. My voice echoed across the plaza, steady and clear. Hi, everyone. Sorry for the interruption, but I have a story that needs to be told. Hundreds of heads turned, phones lifted. A hush fell like the universe holding its breath. And down below, Noah froze, color draining from his face. Many of you have probably seen the viral proposal video, I continued. The lanterns, the lakeside setup, the music, the ring exchange, the whole romantic spectacle. People murmured, nodding. Well, I smiled, sharp and unflinching. I planned that. Gasps rippled through the square. I paid for it. I spent 6 months coordinating every detail. It was meant for my boyfriend of 4 years, Noah Pierce. The crowd turned toward him like a wave shifting direction. Jenna's smile fell. Ashley stepped back like the ground under her had gone soft. But the night before the proposal, my voice tightened. I caught Noah holding hands with his ex-girlfriend, Jenna Morales. A stunned hush. Someone gasped. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." I lifted my phone. Here are the contracts for the lanterns. Here's the invoice for the band. Here are the emails confirming timing and setup. I turned the screen toward the audience. People zoomed in with their cameras, eyes huge. And you know what happened? I said. I canceled the proposal. I told the festival they could give it to anyone. My gaze locked on Noah. I just didn't know it would be him. A ripple of disgust moved through the crowd. Noah stepped forward, shouting, "Stop it, Sandy! You're embarrassing yourself." I held the mic loosely, almost casually. "No, Noah, I'm embarrassing you." Laughter rippled through the festival. Because here's the truth, everyone. Noah proposed to Jenna using my setup, my timing, my location. The lanterns spelling "Marry Me" that I paid for, the music I chose, the spot I reserved. Jenna covered her mouth, horrified. People around her recoiled. And that's not all, I continued. His best friend, the woman I trusted with every detail, decided to help them. I pointed straight at Ashley. She knew about the affair for 2 months. She guided them to the exact moment I planned. She handed them my proposal like it was a party favor. Ashley burst into tears right there in the middle of the crowd. People stared, whispering harshly. Noah yelled, "This is insane!" I cut him off cleanly. Jealous? No, Noah. I'm relieved. Relieved that I didn't marry a man who would betray me, steal from me, and humiliate me in front of thousands. The crowd erupted. Gasps, shouts, someone yelling, "You go, girl!" And Jenna, I added calmly, enjoy that $20 ring. Symbolic, really. A cheap ring for a cheap love story. The crowd roared. Phones caught every second. Noah's face was red with rage. Jenna looked ready to disappear into the earth. Ashley hid behind her hands, shaking. I lowered the mic. Enjoy your viral proposal, Noah. Just remember, every lantern, every note of that song, every beautiful moment you bragged about, I paused, belonged to me. I set the microphone down gently and walked off the stage as the crowd parted, eyes wide, hands covering mouths, phones raised. Noah didn't follow. Jenna didn't speak. Ashley didn't move. They were already being swallowed by the consequences. The video went viral within hours. Millions of views. News outlets picked it up. Headlines read, "Woman exposes stolen proposal in public festival mic drop." People flooded Noah's social media with comments. His workplace put him on leave. Jenna's friends ghosted her. Ashley's reputation imploded. 3 days later, Noah left town. Not a goodbye, not a phone call, just gone. A month passed. I finally cleared the last of Noah's things from my condo. I donated sweaters I bought him, burned old letters, replaced furniture that still smelled like us, and I adopted a dog, a scruffy little mutt with one floppy ear and a habit of stealing socks. I named her Lucky, because she reminded me that sometimes the best things are the ones nobody else wants. One night around 11 p.m., pounding rattled my door. I opened it to find Noah, exhausted, disheveled, mascara streaks on his shirt from someone else's tears. Sandy, he whispered, please, I made a mistake. I ruined everything. Can we talk? Lucky growled behind me. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Which mistake, Noah? The cheating? The proposal theft? The lies? Or abandoning Jenna when the world found out? He flinched. I miss you, he said. I miss us. No, I answered. You miss stability. You miss comfort. You miss the woman who would have forgiven you once upon a time. His voice cracked. Please, Sandy. I stepped back inside. Good night, Noah. He reached out. Sandy? But I closed the door. His voice faded into the hallway. Lucky sat at my feet, tail wagging softly. I looked down and exhaled. You know what loyalty means, don't you, girl? I whispered, scratching her ear. She licked my hand. And for the first time since everything happened, I felt peace settle into the cracks of my heart. Not victory, not revenge. Peace. A new beginning. Without Noah, without Ashley, without the lies. Just me, and a little dog who knew how to stay.